I have to go through some things, good or bad, with, everybody goes through an everyday life. I have to be feeling certain ways. Some days I have to be really happy. Some days, I'm just not in the greatest of moods, which is the yin and yang of life. But that's why the follow-up album took so long, was because I wanted to live a little bit. This album's been built, nourished, and tailored for 3 years. And I wanted to make sure that with these lessons, I wanted to do a little bit more. I wanted to challenge myself on this album.
Returning for a second time, and with the new season over at PGTK, we have the lovely Monteasy here tonight. How are you in this fine evening?
Man, I am good, brother. I feel well. I'm in good spirits. Life is good. I'm in album mode. I'm ready to give the people a phenomenal project. And I'm good, man. Kids are good. Family's healthy. I couldn't ask for anything better, brother.
All right, awesome. And we talked about Erica's son on our last episode, and we have Erica's son 2 on the horizon. And learning from the first Erica's son, what were some lessons that you've picked up during the production of Erica's son 2?
Well, I learned that when it comes to my music about my life, that I have to live a little bit. I can understand artists that can put out projects that fast. And I do that with my wrestling material. Normally, when you get my wrestling music, I put out stuff frequently. But when it comes to my life music, I have to live. I have to process things. I have to go through some things, good or bad, with, everybody goes through an everyday life. I have to be feeling certain ways. Some days I have to be really happy. Some days, I'm just not in the greatest of moods, which is the yin and yang of life. But that's why the follow-up album took so long, was because I wanted to live a little bit. As you know, the first single, Other Side, with Swerve the Realist, pro wrestler Swerve Strickland, came out in 2021. So this album's been built up for 3 years. This album's been built, nourished, and tailored for 3 years. And I wanted to make sure that with these lessons, I wanted to do a little bit more. I wanted to challenge myself on this album. Wanted to make more records for the females and challenge my horizon.
What's interesting too, within that time span, what has been improved since Erica's son? What were some improvements that you noticed that I'm lacking in this? Okay, I can improve in this area.
Yeah, definitely more records for the females, more records for the women. I wanted to blend more of different styles on this album. I know Erica's Son 1 was more of a beginning chapter of my life. I was just going through a breakup at the time, and I was deep in, the wrestling music world. So it was kind of like Erica's Son was just the introduction kind of to where I am in my life. This album is me 3-4 years later, more mature, more of a foundation. I feel like I have more of a foundation with this album. I feel like I have more of a greater perspective. I can now speak from both perspectives of a healed man and a man who went through, a lot of toxic things in my life that I did myself. And I can speak from both perspectives now. I now have a wider range of things to talk about. So that's where a lot of the records for the women came from. That's where a lot of the Southern influence records came from. That's where a lot of my deeper soul records came from. So if you listen to the album, which you got to pre-listen to, it's definitely more of a balanced project for a little bit for everyone, but within the world of Monteasy. And I'm glad that I was able to try different things on this album. I wasn't afraid to do anything on this.
Yeah, and one track kind of gave me that impression was Right or Wrong. And it's kind of interesting hearing, how the song itself is kind of like a culmination of like how you're living now. And you just tell us a little bit of a explanation how that song came to be.
So Right or Wrong, shout out to my brother Anthony King on the chorus. He's part of our team, Emmett team. Every Move Made includes the team. That is our acronym for our brotherhood, the unit. one of the most phenomenal songwriters that I've ever worked with. I call him the MVP of this album because he's on here a couple times doing a lot of background vocals or, you know what I mean, adding his piece to the project. Right or Wrong is really a story about a healed man looking at life different, you know, and I'm going to live with my choices and I'm going to live whatever decision I make. I'm going to live on that, you know. I'm going to stand together. So I'm going to stand as a man no matter what I'm going to do. Right or wrong, whether it works out or it doesn't, I'm going to live with my decisions, you know. When I started out that record, you know, I've been living off a different material, what's imperial. When people say that things are just minimal, I'm agitated. I've been living in the world on salvation, being a public enemy in my proper statement. I've been through hell and back. I almost lost my body, but I remain intact. Never closing caskets on different facts. Relax. I want to be where Michael Jordan is in stature. Put respect in my world, a different chapter. What we are after is living truth with women as queens, and then our men can be the kings in every part of the scene. Living vice with my OGs. Told me live my proceeds and always show that the fire can show heat. Obviously, I'm distinct. My mind is the link with everyone at the street, not taking defeat. So what's the reason? Right or wrong with that? The romance, a kiss of life like a Sade track. So basically, it's explaining to people that I've been through everything. I've almost lost my body due to health issues. I almost wasn't here. But lyrically in the decoded language is just saying, man, I'm just trying to live each and every day in my life and stand for what I stand for. You know what I mean? So that record there is absolutely incredible. I love that record. That's my grandmother's ringtone, actually, when people call her from.
Ah, that's nice. And having like the storytelling element and a couple of tracks, like the first one that kind of came to mind was Uncle Charles. And tell us the story of how Uncle Charles came to be and how has that been? Because we've had tributes with a lot of your music. Like, how has Uncle Charles become that tribute song in the album?
But Uncle Charles is really a story of, it's an acronym of my great granddad Buster, who passed away when I was in my teens, but he like in the song, like in part of the lyrics, I would say he would sit back and smoke all the menthols. He would always say that you don't have to call, I'm all right. Living to my soul, it's all nice. Listen, playing the guitar like I'm Gerald Albright. Basically, he was a smoker. So a lot of times I would see him. He would always be sitting back, smoking a cigarette and telling a story and tell me a story. You know what I mean? About don't trust these people. Like never trust the African. It's just basically an acronym of just never trust people. In our world, he'd be like, man, you can't trust these black folks out here. It's funny. He always used to say, old man. So that's why I say never trust an African in the song. Kind of like a tribute to what he was saying. But basically, I took the life lessons in the time that I had with him and just put it in a record. You know what I mean? I just put it in a song. You know, Lord knows that I miss my Uncle Charles, and everybody knows that's the acronym from the Bone Thug song, Crossroads. I miss my Uncle Charles, yo. So that's where it's from. That's basically a tribute. It's taking the tribute song to Crossroads by not Busta Rhymes, Bone Thugs, which Bone Thugs is arguably my favorite rap group of all time, and put that in the acronym of my life. So when he said I miss my Uncle Charles, it's basically saying I miss my granddad. But this is my story of how he, you know, the funny lessons and the life lessons he taught.
It's interesting, like with stories too. Like, how has your personal experiences really shaped into your music as you started to like really make songs? And how has having those real life events happening in your life, how did that shape you into creating really good lyrics? With not only Erica's Son, but all the stuff that you did even in wrestling. And we'll talk about one in particular later on, but how has those real life events really shaped your songwriting and in your music down the line?
Well, you know, great question, man. When it comes to this album, I didn't want to, when I started working on the album in 2021, I realized I wasn't really in the full heal state that I needed to be. Now, mind you, I'm not 100%, you know, we're all going to leave this world having questions and still be at work on ourselves. But a lot of the issues that I had with myself and things that was going on within my personality or within my spirit has kind of healed a little bit. I'm in a more mellow, more calm state of mind than I was even 3 years ago. So, I'm kind of like in a Zen mode of my life. So I wanted to speak on this album and really add more of a different perspective from 2021, 2019, when I was like, oh, I'm just going to do Erica's Son too. And I kept pushing it back, and I pushed it back for 2 years because I'm like, I need to live a little bit. And then I was doing the group albums with Swerve, and I didn't want to interrupt what we were doing. You know what I mean? And that gave me time to put out content, to stay consistent, to put out those verses. But you know what I mean? Really take the time to really sit back and say, okay, how am I going to do this? What is going to be my message? When they hear this next album, what am I going to have to say from 2019, 2020 to now? And what am I going to bring to the table? So I really have to say there's been a growing process spiritually. I'm spiritually in a much better place. I'm not 100% perfect. There's still some things I got to work on, but now I'm in a more zen and qualified place because there will be 4 installments of this. So there will be 4 Erica's Son versions, and this is the second one. So I wanted to be in a different place. You know what I mean? I wanted to be in a different spirit. I wanted to just really take time to understand who Antoine was again. Not Monteasy, but to tap into Antoine, because I have to tap into that to give you these projects.
And to give your own personal take on your songwriting, because oftentimes, and I noticed this especially when you do your wrestling stuff, you're hyping like a Kevin Knight or a Sammy Guevara or a Shane Taylor, you're hyping them up. But after listening through Erica's Son too, it's interesting that you have your own personal voice that only you can deliver, and giving your heart and soul into those projects. And one thing I noticed too is a lot of the Southern rap scene has been, and you mentioned this on the last episode, Southern Teasy coming back and having collaborations with Twista and with Rich Boy. How did that shape into the albums, and what was it like working with both Rich Boy and with Twista when you were making those 2 songs in particular, with Flow White Chopper and with Real Rap?
Well, both of those guys are 2 big inspirations of mine. I remember being in high school and Rich Boy came out with Those Some D's, and I absolutely loved that record. At the time, my manager at my job, when I used to work at a grocery store, he had a song with him, and this is when Rich Boy was like peak in his prime. So he had a song with him, and I always wanted to do a song with him. I always wanted to work with him. I always wanted to do music with him. And I didn't know how at the time. I was only 17, 18 years old. I didn't know how at the time to do it. So what I did was I said, look, I'm going to wait till the right time. And one day he's on my bucket list of somebody I wants to work with. So randomly I'm sitting back and I wanted to make an anthem song for the nightclubs. You know what I mean? The strip clubs could play it. The clubs can play it. You know what I mean? If I can make a clean version of this. And then I reached out to his management and I was like, hey, I want to get a chorus from Rich Boy. I'm a big fan. And they did good business. It was easy. And we did it, man. And he sent me back that chorus. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna tailor this up. This is it right here.
Yup.
I'm gonna hit I hit him with that T.I. flow from Be Easy. The T.I. Be Easy song. He said, I'm 22 and a vet in the game. Said, super cool, still a threat and the same. My favorite T.I. record. Well, one of my top 3. And then that's when I came in and I said, I'm really cool and vet in the game. I took that inspiration of that flow. You know what I mean? And then the second verse, I was like, keeping 100, living and keeping a stack of the money, and then thinking the track. That was Bone Thugs.
Yeah,
So
that was.
yeah, that's Bone Thugs. So I just really rap off my inspirations, man. I rap off my inspirations, and then Flow Wild Chopper, which is a dream of mine to have a verse from Twister, man. That is, man, I listen to so many different styles of hip hop that I'm inspired by so many different things. And then when he sent me that chorus, I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this is nuts. So that song took me like 2 months to write that song. And I never take that long to write a song. But that song took like 2 months. I was like, every line has to make sense. I had that beat for 2 months and I didn't write to it. And that was like the third to last song I did for the album. So I was like, yeah, let me really sit back and focus on this and put the pen to pad, and hopefully there could be a visual for either song someday. Hopefully something we could shoot something to it. But that record's been received well. I got a lot of kudos from that, for people showing love for that record. And I'm looking forward to see where both of those records go. But it's an honor to work with both of them.
Yeah, I'm curious, within that 2 months, like, what were some writer's blocks that you came across, and how did you like overcome going over those writer blocks, since it took like 2 months to say, hey, all right, this is going to be my single. All right. I think I have it down pat. How did you overcome those writer's blocks if it takes that long of a time to write them?
Normally it doesn't, but I just knew that with who the person was, I wanted to take my time, and I wanted to be able to hold my own with a legend like that, because you want to be able to deliver. So normally when I write records, man, it's all a feeling. I don't really get writer's block. I normally just write off feeling. I was like, I'll listen to some beats. I'm like, you know what? Let me see what's in my spirit today. And then I'll listen to some music, and then something that just hit. And then that's how it goes. I don't really, when I was younger, I used to always be like, oh man, I'm going to put a beat on and I'm going to just write. Sometimes I do lyrical exercise stuff and write songs that never see the light of day just to stay sharp. But a lot of times now with my muscle memory, I kind of get this gut feeling when I know it's time to write something.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like when I was listening to it on the drive home for me, and you had a little twister for about 5 seconds. I was like, oh, you're trying to have a little twister in your music. So it's nice to have like at least a nod that you're doing with the single, and seeing where the album is. And I was listening to it throughout the time that I had throughout the album, and one song really stuck to me was Lord Please, and that was on repeat this whole day. And from hearing from my perspective, this is a very visceral track because of how it's styled, from writing all the way down to the beats. Like, tell us how that song came to be, and when you had the final print to master, what was that feeling like, finishing that song in particular?
Wow. Lord Please might have been the third song I did for the album. I wrote that record when I got out of the hospital one night. I was in a very emotional place, and I was like, you know what? I want to write it. If I had to write a letter to God, what would I say? What about my life? And if I had one opportunity to write a letter to God, how would I say it? What would I do? How would I convey this? What would be what would I say in a positive way, but to also say I'm not a man, and I'm not a man that's perfect, and I've made mistakes. And what can I say that can, relate to everybody, relate to every human being? You know what I mean? So that's why when I started out, it's like, all I know is hustle, circumstance, living in struggle, jet blue flights, rain in the night, uncomfortable, trusting who, living middle class deductibles breaker, living in shacks, pretend magic, I am not a Laker, abrasive, the best that I got, Anita Baker, asking God, praying to God, asking for forgiveness, leaking like condensation, asking God to walk like OJ, not concentrated, spoken to my demons, insecure, just an observation, wanting to buzz, but these light years is killing me. How many hating beyond times and fiction? But lyrically, find myself in a world that's gimmicky. Plug the back of your heads. Neo and Trinity. I'm just being clear, socially aware that I could volunteer. No hoes to pretty women, not a Richard Gere. But I will be just fine in time. I'm walking around like Bruce Banner when anger's on my mind. So basically, that's a prayer saying, listen, man, I don't have only answers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go from all these women anymore. No hoes to pretty women, not a Richard Gere. Like, you know what I mean? It's really a prayer to say, one night I just got out the hospital and I literally was on a plane and I was very uncomfortable on the plane because I wasn't feeling too well. So that's why I said all I know is struggles, circumstance, jet blue flights, rain in the night because it was raining on the plane. Uncomfortable, trusting who. So that was really all putting that together, and I wrote that, and it was really speaking to. And the second verse was me kind of like, okay, bro, you can't use God. You can't use God no more. You know what I mean? My tie staying defied on the bad pride. Increase the outcome of the liquor because I stopped drinking years ago. Increase the outcome of the liquor. Tupac on the corner, Bishop. Because Tupac and Bishop went crazy. You know what I mean? In the movie Juice. Increase the output of the liquor. Tupac on the corner, Bishop. Antoine on Mr. Fisher. Potion of the Talk Elixir. Watch the doctor do the pickup. Mentally, you're sick and vicious. You clout chaser. Pray to the Lord discussing me. Wanting weekends when God stayed in full custody. So it's like, if you're going to pray to God and be a man of God, this is an all-night thing. This is not a part-time custody thing like getting children to part-time. It's not a weekend visit. You have to really be stuck with him and your vision. So that is the most personal song on the album. That record, a lot of times when I perform live, I do that last because it's such a high note to walk on and it makes people think. Some people do their shows and try to end on a high note. I try to make you think and make you feel something towards the end of the show. So that's it, man. It's just a feeling. It's a feeling of just wanting to be closer to him, but also know that I was not in a good place, and I can admit that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting because like spirituality has played a lot, whether it's in rap music or it's in any genre, like especially for you, Monteasy. How has spirituality played into how your craft, honing your craft as a musician?
I think that's like maybe 80% of me. I think 70% or 80% of me is spirit music. It has to mean something. I'm not just, I don't want to just hop on anything just to rap. You know what I mean? I have to say something. It has to mean something. It has to come from the spirit. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a soulful record, but I'm not this kind of person that's just going to hop on a song because it's just something to do. I have to believe in the album. I have to, even though, my output is very often, but I have to believe in it. You know what I mean? I have to want to do it and really be one with the record. I think that's why my solo albums take so much time, is because I want to have a storybook for you to talk about. I want you to listen to track 1 to when it ends and really understand that everything, took place. If you really listen to ES2, a lot of my songs, there's a lot of spiritual, religious tones on this album. On High, Glory, Higher, Lord Please, Songs for the Women, Waiting for You, Glowing, Ride for Me, Like there's and then you have the other sides of Teasy, the Get Money, Out of Space, other side. Like there's different undertones on this album that you get from me. So that's why I really enjoy it, because it really breaks down the concepts of a man. So I have to have something to talk about to be able to do it.
Yeah, because like what I notice, especially with music, there is an element of heart, especially through lyrics. And I used to remember listening back, a while back. Like if you take out the lyrics on the music, it's there, but having the lyrics behind the song, it amplifies the song, of course, but there's also meaning. There's also a message that's conveying. So like Erica Sun 2 that's a really, compared to Erica Sun 1, I saw a lot of you more through your songwriting, through your lyrics. So to have the album, and I'm listening to it still, and a lot of the songs stuck to me, to be honest. And it's like I'm listening to it at work, and there's some songs that kind of stick as I go into the office. Like, all right, cool, let me hear this album again. So like to have that impact on a personal level, that's rare to hear, because I have some albums like I'll just brush it off in maybe a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, but like here it's like if the trajectory is right, I might listen to it for a while. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you, brother. That's really the goal, man. With the way music is nowadays, you might listen to a project once or twice, and with the way so much is happening, so much output of music, so much changing, so many things competing for our retention, that if I can drop an album that people can go back to and say, you know what, this is a really good album. You know what I mean? He really did his work on this. He really did great. I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? I'm happy with that. And if it can, the music that people go back to is the music that lasts longer. You understand, you love a lot of Tupac songs because they meant something. You know what I mean? Or the songs you remember from your favorite artist, well, no matter what genre, because those songs meant something. I want to make music to where you remember where you was at when you played the album. You know what I mean? You remember where you was at, and if you listen to it 5 years from now and you pop an ES2, you say, I remember where I was at when I first heard this. This is a really great album. So that was my concept. That was my goal. So hopefully, Swerve says my music is soul music. It's music for the soul. So hopefully I can continue that and give you something that, you can play 10 years from now.
So taking a step back to with Pressure, and having worked with Musiq Soulchild again, like what was it like picking things up where you guys left off working with Swerve and actually making music that's catered to your style, catered to your preference coming into Erica Sun 2?
Man, first, it's a dream to be able to say that I have songs with that man. That was my favorite R&B artist growing up, in my time growing up as a child. To say that I have songs with him and more to come is a dream come true. It shows you that life in God is real, and that those prayers I was talking about on Lord Please came true. When we did the first record, Not My Fault, with Swerve on the group album, I was like, yo, this is incredible. But when I was able to work with him as his rap gimmick, The Hustle, and to hear him say, look, man, I want to do more with you. I want to build on more tracks, even after this, is phenomenal. So I could not only put this on the project, but just to continue to see where the relationship goes, to say I have Musiq Soulchild as The Hustle on the album, Twista, and Rich Boy, says a lot. And I'm just happy that Pressure record, which is one of my favorite cuts to work out to, it's traditionally something that could sound like a wrestling record, but it's not. It sounds like a hit record. And that's all my goal is to make hit music. You know what I mean? When it comes to that kind of tempo and beat and stuff. So, yeah, man, it's an honor, man. Music is such a good dude. and I am blessed to be able to work with him.
I'm very curious now too. And Erica's Son, being that it's a 4-part album, do you have any future collaborators you have in mind that you want to work with down the line? Of course, we're going to have Swerve. We're going to have music again. Like, do you have any artists that you would like to work with down the line, whether it's an Erica's Son 3 or 4? Who would that be?
Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. I would like to do a song with Fonte from Little Brother.
Ooh, that's a deep cut. Ooh, it's a deep cut.
I would like to do a song with Fonte from Little Brother. I like to do a song with maybe like Corrupt or Lady of Rage from the West Coast. A R&B singer called Blast from the West Coast. I would like to do a song with like Paul Wall from Texas. Like a Paul Wall, something like that. Paul Wall, Scarface, somebody like that. I would like who else? I would like a song with who else? Who else I would like a song with that I have not worked with? Like if I had a dream collaboration. Rod Digger. Legendary Rod Digger, Queen Latifah. People like that. Rhapsody.
Ooh.
Rhapsody for sure. Rhapsody.
Okay.
She's like top 5. Like Rhapsody and Common. You give me one of them two, I'm good. But my dream, like if I had an unlimited budget and I can get these people, obviously Nas is my hero, so I like to rap with my hero. But if you give me Charlie Wilson, if you give me Charlie Wilson, or you give me Ron Isley from the Isley Brothers, I'm retiring tomorrow. I don't have nothing else to do. I'm done.
It's nice.
You might not get it. If I can get Charlie Wilson on Erica's Son 3, you might not get a 4. I might not need it.
So you just hang it up. Put it up in the rafters. Just put it up in the rafters.
I'm good. I'm not gonna top that. I'm not gonna top that.
And with the release party that you're having in down the line and having a guest list that has Marina Shafir, Shane Taylor, Big Swole, Kevin Knight, like other wrestlers that have worked with you in the past, what was that feeling like celebrating alongside them with your own material?
I mean, it was phenomenal, man, to be able to have those people that came out and, you know, enjoyed this with me. I don't celebrate nothing much, bro. I don't really. I'm a workaholic, so I really like to just really focus on the next thing. But to have these people come out, just very big special guests. Some people flew themselves out just to support me, and it means the world to me. From having a DJ to having my family there, to have people speak on behalf of me, I'm just happy that I was able to do this and actually celebrate myself for all the hard work I've put in, and being able to just say, you know what, I did the right thing. And if you be a good person and just do the right thing, when you invite people to this, people will do their best to make it. If you're a good person, they'll support you. And man, it's legendary, man. I'm just so happy that I did it. I chose to do it and I stood on it. I didn't take it back that I wanted to do this. I had to celebrate myself, man, because I don't do it. So I'm glad that this happened. I'm very glad.
Yeah. And also this year or around this time, being in the wrestling scene for 10 years, and we talked about this before, and now that you've reached that goal of being 10 years in the wrestling business, looking back and seeing where you were to where you are now, what is it that keeps you going doing this for 10 years in the wrestling business?
I think it's keeping the main thing the main thing. You know, it's keeping the main thing the main thing. It's learning that I am now a staple in this. I'm now considered a legend in this. But I just have to keep going. I have to keep just loving the music. You know, it's like that band that's been popular for 10 years. And then they put out another album and you're like, well, what do you guys have to talk about 10 years later? And it's like, man, I just enjoy making this music for the wrestlers. I want to make hit music for pro wrestlers. And if that means I have to do less of them to make a bigger impact, that's totally fine. But to be here 10 years and one of the most sought after people for 10 years means a lot. And I still enjoy it. I still love it. And I look forward to seeing what I could do next. But I don't go to sleep every night feeling comfortable. I don't. There's always more I could do. I'm appreciative, but not comfortable.
Yeah, and someone asked a question from someone in the wrestling business, and let me get the pulled name. So it's his name is World's Greatest Nephew Marcelo, and his question is: having your music in arenas across the world. An example that comes to mind, of course, is Sammy Guevara. What was that feeling like hearing your music to not only here in the US but on a global scale, hearing that, and you took part in crafting Sammy's theme over the years?
It's a feeling that never gets old, brother. Like, especially when it makes an impact and people react to it, and it becomes something that I look back now that I've done it so many times, and it's a feeling that never gets old because you see the people's reaction. And that's really what you make it for. You make it for the reactions of the people. And now that song has changed my life, and I look at it the way I look at it, I'm like, yo, this is fire. This is amazing. That I can still hear Sammy Guevara come out. I can hear Shane Taylor come out. I can hear Kevin Knight and all the other wrestlers that use my music over these 10 years. It feels great. It feels absolutely wonderful. And now some of these songs are charting all over the world. You know what I mean? They're charting in Japan. They're charting in Finland. They're charting in Germany. You know what I mean? They're on the music charts. I couldn't ask for anything better, man. I am blessed. Like, wrestling music doesn't owe me a thing because I'm doing it and I'm really enjoying it, and I never take it for granted.
Right. And we'll end this conversation with this, and we're going to go back to Erica's son too. And first of all, thank you so much for having you on the podcast for this new season. And
Thank you.
I'm really thankful to have conversations with you because I never really see the music industry the way that you're approaching it. And with Erica's son too. And to all the listeners out there, and when this episode comes out, what can you offer in this album that can wow the audience when they do listen to it on all the streaming platforms all over the world?
To be honest with you, I want you to listen to this album and understanding the path of a mortal man that took over the wrestling world of music, but is also a man at the end of the day. And I have ups and downs like anybody else. The great thing about it, and also the thing that can kind of pigeonhole you, is with me being known for wrestling music, they think that's all I can do. And sometimes you got to break that status quo and show them you can do other things. And a lot of times when you're in wrestling, they just want you there the whole time. No human being is like that. So when you listen to Two, I want you to listen to a man who goes by name Monteasy, but is Antoine, and really break down the all aspects of my life. If you listen to Perfect, it's about a breakup. It's about getting over pain. Glowing is about being in love with a beautiful woman. Ride for me is having a woman that's loyal for me. You know what I mean? So there's all different perspectives of speaking to a woman. Outer Space is just me talking about taking the industry to a different place. You know, and a vibe record, you know. So, man, that's how I tried to do it. I really tried to give you guys perspective. So when you hear this album, listen to it from a soulful, loving, and vibe experience from a mortal man, from Antoine. You know what I mean? As AKA Monteasy.
So Erica's Son 2 will be out on June 12th on all streaming platforms. And yes, please do listen to Monteasy's material. The wrestling stuff is great, but this album took a long time, and Monteasy let it cook, and it's a really great album. Just give that a listen when it comes out on the 12th. And I do want to say thank you so much for having you on, Monteasy. And of course, with everything that we do here on the episode, where can we find you? And if you have any upcoming events down the line.
Sure. If you guys can find me at www.teasystable.com. All bookings, podcasting, music, everything will be there. Please check it out. teasystable.com. Make sure you follow me on all social medias at Teasy Jones, at Teasy Jones on Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. Monteasy TV for all bookings. Me or my manager will be in touch if you need anything booking wise, conferences, speeches, features, anything of that nature. Also, too, you know what I mean? I want to thank the Lord Jesus Christ for keeping me the strength to be able to join you, Emmanuel. You're a good dude.
Thank you.
You have great content. You have great perspectives. And, you know, I look forward to having our sit-down interview for the next project. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the time. And great work. Great podcast, man. I'm loving what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And looking forward to Erica's Son 3 in about 5 years.
Hopefully, if I'm about to be 36, my goal is to give you guys this I give myself 2-3 years. So by 38, 39, you'll get the next.
All right. Awesome. Hopefully. Awesome.